Good afternoon, YouTube. Ty Metalhead Weatherman here. Hopefully, you guys are having a good Sunday. Hopefully, you've had a good weekend so far. This is going to be another update on the potential upcoming storm system that will be affecting the U.S. around Thanksgiving and Black Friday. Again, more changes, but there is some good news to be had here. I'm seeing just a little bit of agreement between models, whereas before everything was just showing a different type of every run something was different, or every run one model would have one outcome, one scenario, one outcome, and then another one would have something entirely different. But it looks like today, as we start to get into that range where we start to lean into more of the shorter range models, things are looking a little bit more. Things are looking a little bit more clear, it seems. Not by a lot though, so we'll have to see what this does. But there's still two unique outcomes from what I've seen here, and we'll start out with the Euro. The Euro actually has a big plunge of cold air, just like the GFS will in this run too. But the Euro has this low pressure here coming closed off and being the dominant low here. Not really much activity going on in this direction. And this is also going to ultimately limit the severe threat. There's energy here, but I just don't think there's enough instability and lift to cause any sort of severe weather around here right now. That's based off what the Euro is showing me. We move this along, showers and storms will develop across this area, but I think the more concentrated weather will actually start to form offshore. Meanwhile, this could turn into yet another big wintry system towards the Great Lakes and maybe the interior Northeast. So look out, guys. If the Euro ends up happening, we might have an even bigger issue than what we already have here, because a lot of places have been hit hard with heavy snowfall, especially towards the Great Lakes, where lake effect snow has been a big thing over the last week or so. But this storm definitely starts to really mature. Almost has that nor'easter-esque type look to it, but it stays a little bit more inland. So some areas around New York per se, Philadelphia, you guys may not get much snow out of this. It may honestly be more of a rain event starting out, and then you might get some snow on the backside. I'm not really seeing anything that's super clear on that at the moment. I do think you could even start out as snow, but we'll take a look at the models. We'll take a look at the radar and the precip type in a minute to kind of get an idea of what's going on there. But that's what the Euro is showing us right now. Let's go ahead and look at the GFS. Here we are in tropical tidbits, pretty much fast forwarding to the same point. And we move the GFS along, and interestingly enough, it seems like the more southern end of this dip in the trough here is where our low pressure will end up forming. And this lends itself towards more of a severe weather event. And then as this starts to move a little bit more to the north, it almost has that trough ejection type look to it. Slightly negative tilt, but it's mostly neutral. Drags in a lot of cold air. And this could become more of a snow event a little closer to the coast maybe. It's tricky. This is a tricky forecast still as of right now. And there's still a lot of room for things to change, because we're about, I'd say still about 4 days out, I would say. So there's a lot going on with that. We'll have to see how things progress there. And then, of course, we will be talking about this storm a little later this week. My main focus is going to kind of shift more towards the Thanksgiving storm and not so much into the long range here, since that's going to be the big topic over the next few days. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the radar could look like potentially. You'll actually see the low pressures indicated on this map too, so this will give you a little bit more clarity here. This is on Wednesday afternoon, or right around lunchtime, I would say. Things are pretty calm, but you can see where these blue bars are starting to dip in a little bit more to the south here. That's our storm system coming in. It takes a little bit of a negative tilt here, but this storm system actually ends up being almost, I wouldn't say semi cut off, but it's definitely not quite going where I would expect it to based off of these bars here. But We move this along, and there's really no there's no southern piece of energy here, which will limit the severe weather threat and the amount of moisture that really is going to be surging into this low. So snow's going to be a little bit sparse starting. The snow and rain really is both going to be pretty sparse starting out here. Plus that low pressure isn't super strong. It isn't till we get towards the 25th where this low comes up, and it's not a super strong low either. But these two put together will drag in a little bit of cold and warm air. Could even lead to some severe weather on the around the northeast coast possibly. But this low begins to really strengthen here. And on the backside of this, towards the interior northeast, looks like it could be a very big snow event. Again, we might have to look at areas like Buffalo for the potential for snow, maybe even the ice this time too. Definitely not the kind of news that anyone up there is wanting to hear based off the Euro, but this is a possibility, so I gotta try to at least keep you informed. But on the backside of this low here, looks like it almost kind of lingers for a bit too, so there could be additional snow that pops off from this as well. Have to be careful with this forecast because the trend with these models with this particular storm, just about every run it changes. So it's gonna be one of those down to the last day, if not even the last few hours in the forecast to see how things progress here. But we'll go ahead and look at the GFS now. If I can find my cursor. Sheesh. Almost disappeared on me, it felt like. But the GFS has a little bit different of a look to it. Again, the low looks like it's forms a little bit further to the south here. And we do get a little bit of a warm sector, and there is potential for maybe some convection to pop up and maybe an isolated severe storm. It's not really a robust setup for severe. I think it almost kind of has a linear look to it. And then look at the cold air that wraps in behind it. And this is where things would get interesting here. This little surge of cold air that wraps up around this warm air and around this rain, some of this may convert over to snow around the Appalachians for Thanksgiving. This is an area that doesn't really see snow. I don't really think there'll be much accumulation, but that'll become a big story in your local news markets, so to speak. And then this starts out as a rain event for a lot of the interior northeast, but look at that swath of heavy snow that we end up getting over towards Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and in areas off to the north and east of the Delmarva. It's crazy. And then by the start of next week, that storm system's out of here, and then we'll have to watch for the next one. So there's still plenty of madness going on here. Maybe a little less, but we're still gonna have to keep a close eye on it. It's fun. This is the fun part of meteorology. But anyway, if you guys liked what I did in this video, definitely drop me a like. Let me know in the thoughts what team you're rooting for, so to speak, as far as the weather's concerned. Are you team GFS? Are you team Euro? Or does it even matter? Excuse me. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, definitely do so. I'm trying to finish out the year strong. I'm grateful to even get to 100 subscribers for this channel's been up for a year. That'll be in March, but either way, I appreciate you guys being here. Plenty more content to come. I'll have a video up for you guys in the morning, but until then, this has been Metalhead Weatherman. You guys have a good night. I will see you soon.